fight. Instead of freeing, if it leaves, we say goodbye. Where we weave and then we grieve and then we cry. I wanna tell you before I forget, you're doing well, you know you're living it. You're gonna make it no matter how hard it gets. Despite the darkness, some of these days, winter green, I can't outshine your radiance. Winter green, will undermine your salience. Winter green, I love you more than anything. Winter green, despite the darkness, some of these days. Let it go, but you should know you're on my mind. And let it flow, embrace the ever-changing tracks of space and time. And if you grow beyond the world that we define, just let me know that you're gonna be alright. I wanna tell you before it's too late. You had it all going on right out of the gate. You never faked it or phoned it in. Despite the darkness, some of these days, winter green, can't outshine your radiance. Winter green, will undermine your salience. Winter green, I love you more than anything. Winter green, despite the darkness, some of these days. The way up and the way down are one and the same. I'm calling an audible late in the game. If love is everything, love is pain. And certain spirits are too bright to be tamed. I can't outshine your radiance or undermine your salience or redefine your sentience. Despite the darkness, some of these days, winter green, I can't outshine your radiance. Winter green, will undermine your salience. Winter green, I love you more than anything. Winter green, despite the darkness, some of these days. The smoke is a blowing sun, and the flames reaching high to the sky. It was there for the knowing sun, but the fever was clear in his eyes. He told of the Wallace sun, taken over by hellish blue death. It's a wonder he made it here, but the stables, they suited him best. Oh, and his body's aching. Oh,
Thank you.
my heart is breaking. Not even God could save
Check, check, check.
Can you give me
Hi, check. Who's excited? Let's get this party started. All right. Check, check, check. Yahoo.
Okay. We are getting ready, folks. We're going to be starting this competition at 1 o'clock. We're a little delayed. We apologize for leaving you out in that lineup of the cattle rustlers, but we can't have people walking around the tent full of water where there's high voltage plugs running through. I know everybody likes to get fried nowadays because it's legal, but not in that way, okay? I apologize for my voice. Probably my kid's fault. Let's just leave it there. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will please we're going to do things a little different. How many people were not at Heat 1 or 2? Oh, geez, I got to do a lot of talking here. Oh, yes. Okay. So typically we would introduce the chefs and then we'd get to know them, find out what they're cooking. But because we had to change the whole schedule around, we are going to play a sponsor video. We're going to run right into cooking. Then we're going to meet both chefs and find out what they're going to be preparing for the judges. Sound good? Chef Chris from Garland, Canada is going to be my co-host today.
Hi, everybody.
And because this is the final, we're down to the top 2 chefs out of 12. Competition is elevated, so too is the judging. So Chef Corbin is back because he's the festival host, but we brought in 2 judges that are former Canadian Chefs of the Year. So they're the real chefs, and then Corbin's just the eye candy here. That's what we're doing. So we have Chef Irwin McKinnon and we have Chef Hans Andreg here. Pleasure to have both of you. Irwin was my co-host. But because of his status as Chef of the Year, he got promoted to judge, so he gets to taste the food, and I still don't. So that's kind of whatever. But we brought Chef Chris on, and we're pleased to have you. Thanks for jumping on board, Chris.
Thank you for the opportunity.
It's going to be a fun one. So if you're wondering who Chris is, he's the official cowbell guy of the Shellfish Festival. He was giving that out, so we're all good. Okay, you guys ready to get started? I think we can do better than that. We have cowbell. Are you guys ready to get started? This is for $10,000. All right, folks, let's pay attention to the monitors and hear a word from our main sponsor, Garland, and then we're going to count them down and start cooking. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you see up in the monitors, which way am I pointing? See, TV, it's always backwards. Okay, so right above my finger, right there. That's a clock. That's a 45-minute clock. Once we count them in, that's going to start to play down. Then we'll introduce our 2 chefs. Everybody, let's get going. We ready? Enough chit-chat. Let's count them down and get them going for the Garland Canada International Chef Challenge Championship in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get cooking. All right, ladies and gentlemen, direct your attention to the monitors and let's meet our chefs.
Hello, I'm Kelly Sheridan from North Shore Canteen in French River, Prince Edward Island. With the $10,000, I'd love to take my young family on a trip this fall.
Hi there, Bennett Hunt from Saskatchewan. I work for Grassroots Restaurant Group. If I won 10 grand, probably pay off some credit cards.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Chef Kelly and Chef Ben. Chef Kelly's from the North Shore Canteen in French River, PEI, and Chef Bennett is from Saskatoon, originally from England. Let's go start chatting with them and find out what they're going to be doing for you. Chef Kelly, you're probably not very busy right now, but can you tell the folks what you're going to be preparing?
So today I'm going to be making a ricotta gnocchi with the mussels, the oysters, and the lobsters tossed in. And on the base is going to be a nice chowder broth. And we're going to top that with some fried clams and some herb oil.
Nice. Nice. All right, now we're going to go talk to Chef Ben, originally from England, as I said, now living in Saskatoon. Chef Ben, what are you going to be preparing for the judges for a $10,000 meal?
So I'm going to do some a roasted lobster tail with ginger and honey.
like a light glaze, and then a croquette using, well, lots of people have gone home from doing curries, so I thought, let's do a curry. So I'm doing a potato curry, finished with some clam meat, some of the claw meat from the lobsters, and then made into a croquette and fried, and then a oyster emulsion and a cucumber salad.
There we go. And you know you only have 45 minutes, right?
And so I can see here that Chef Kelly has some wonderful aromatics in a pot here, and we're starting to build and layer some flavor in. I can see some julienne white onion. We've got some parsley and tarragon. Yes. Yes, perfect. And all great chowders clearly begin with bacon. So if you can smell what I can smell up here, you're in for a treat. I can see too that Chef Kelly has dispatched her 2 lobsters. There's a female lobster and a male lobster, and they got dunked into the pot behind us here. I'd say based on the pound of the actual lobster itself, probably between a 10 to 12 minute cook time to make a perfect lobster. How do you determine if a lobster is a male or a female? Does anyone know? That's right. So Chef Kelly says, you know, there's little feathers on each side of the actual tail for the female, and that's to swim the eggs around under the tail. They typically have a slightly broader tail as well. That's how you can determine between a male and female lobster.
So, Chef, why don't you tell the folks at home, whenever you're cooking a lobster, sometimes at home, the lobster meat gets a little more dense because it tends to be overcooked. We like to overcook a lobster, whereas if you don't overcook it, the meat falls right out of the shell.
That's right, and you can tell if it's a little bit under, because it's kind of like jelly-like. It doesn't have a really terrific texture to it. And if it's over, sometimes that protein will separate. You get a bit of a white film over your shell there too. And you can see the muscle's gotten quite tough.
Yeah.
That's right. So you want to be pretty careful on how you cook shellfish in general. It's very, very sensitive to temperature and time. It's a really good point.
Exactly. So let's take a moment to, before we talk about the equipment, let's, if you want to take your microphone over to the judges
Yes.
and introduce each one of them.
Hi, Chef. I had the pleasure of meeting you today. Can you introduce yourself to the crowd, please?
Yes. I'm Chef Hans Anderek, and I was an instructor at the Culinary Institute for Canada for 33 years, and just took a retirement, I guess, and come back in.
So you're retired now? That deserves a cowbell. And Chef Irwin, we've had the pleasure of working with you for all of our festivals. Thank you again for coming. Can you tell the crowd who you are today?
Hi, I'm Chef Irwin McKinn. I'm the executive chef at Papa Joe's Restaurant. I'm also the Eastern VP for the Canadian Culinary Federation and former Chef of the Year. And I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm hungry and looking forward to what these 2 great chefs are going to bring forward. Thank you.
And finally, Chef Corbin, you are our house chef, if you will, for the entire festival. You're a busy man. You're back and forth, back and forth. But for those that are not familiar with who you are, can you tell the crowd who you are?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Chef Corbin from Toronto. Okay, good. That's good. Born and raised in Alberta. You got a little piece of Alberta beef here. Been on the Food Network for a number of years. I have a catering event business in Toronto. This is my second time at Shellfish, and I couldn't be happier to be here. And what I love most about this is obviously the incredible product, but it's the people.
Thank you, Chef.
Nobody sucks up to the crowd more than Corbin. I found that out the last 2 days. So things are progressing, and folks, you do notice they're already almost 6 minutes into the competition. There's only 39 minutes left for these folks to prepare those incredible dishes, and we'll see who will be walking away with $10,000. So, Chef Chris, we have a little bit some green action in that blender. What's happening there?
Actually, yes. This looks like some type of beginning of a sauce or an emulsion. Looks very herbaceous. If you can see what else Chef Bennett is cooking with, it's a curry-based sauce here. And he's got these wonderful ingredients here. They're very colorful, whole spice, ground spice, and to really bring out the flavor of those spices. You want to toast them a bit to start building flavor, releasing all of those natural oils from the spices themselves to really layer in terrific flavor.
So let's talk for a moment. I notice on this side, Chef Chris, that Chef Kelly is using the convection, the Convotherm Max Pro ovens.
Yes, and these are German-made Convotherm ovens, the second largest manufacturer in the world, and these are precision tools that we give professional chefs to get really exacting results. Combination ovens, just for awareness for the crowd here, because some of us aren't in industry, do really weird and wonderful things. You can cook in 3 modes. You can cook in hot air, like we do at our home oven. You can cook with pure steam, which is terrific for blanching vegetables or steaming shellfish. And then you can do something even crazier. You can cook in 2 modes. Hot air and steam creates combination heat, which cooks 20 to 30% faster than any other mode for cooking, which is really, really great.
Yeah, and that's essential when you're in the food service industry and you're trying to hit service times. Something this is wonderful.
That's right. It's a large quantity cooking, appliance. It's really meant for large whole roasts. If you're braising stews overnight, it's capable of proofing. It's capable of roasting. It's capable of sous vide. And everything under the sun that you can think of how you would like to cook your product, you can do that in a combination oven. That's right.
That's really neat. And we also have the Garland Induct, which is the real-time temperature control system induction hot plates that they're using.
That's right. And we're proud sponsors of the festival. We've been here for over 10 years now sponsoring the event. We love to interact with our chefs and provide them with great tools so they can bring terrific dishes to the judges. Chef Kelly is using an induction unit. This is an Garland-made induction unit. It's made in Switzerland and then finished in Mississauga, in our factory in Mississauga, Ontario. And induction is a very powerful way of cooking. It's very, very exacting, and it's extremely efficient, very safe, and very clean. So, for example, this is a hot simmering pan. If I just put my hand right on top of the element, it's perfectly safe. I'm not conducting energy. The pan is, and the unit is.
And the best thing about it is you can set a temperature and forget it. So if you want to hold something on simmer, you certainly can. Whereas when we're at home cooking, using an electric range or something, the temperature goes up, falls back down, goes up, so it's continually cycling.
That's right. And so another neat feature of our Garland induction range countertop units here is I can actually dial in the exact temperature required for simmering or boiling. And I can hold that temperature, with basically a half-degree variance in temperature. It's extremely exact. So my chocolatiers, my pastry departments, my baking departments, they really love these units because baking chocolate work requires exact temperature control. And that's really where these units excel.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, whoop, there it is. We're 10 minutes into this competition already. There's only 35 left. Let's hear it for both competitors. Going back and forth. Now, the food in the pantries are delivered by our friends at Cisco, and they deliver food right across to every restaurant in North America. Please direct your attention to the monitor, and let's hear a word from our friends at Cisco. So, Chris, one of the things that's very important that we notice, and I know as parents with kids or with their spouse or partner, whenever you're cooking at home, there's always a colossal mess. Anybody else in that boat, or is it just me? See, we have a rule at home. I do the cooking. Jen does the cleaning. She goes, why do you have to dirty 14 pots to make craft dinner? Like, seriously. I don't know. That's just what I do. So, but here, chefs have to maintain a controlled environment. That's all part of the judging as well, is how clean their stations are whenever they're cooking. Part of the reason is not only so that they don't lose track of where they're at, but it's all about the time management. As we noticed, we only have 45 minutes, which goes by very, very fast. And it goes by fast for us. Can you imagine if you were in their situation? They're trying to have 4 or 5 different things being cooked all at once. They're trying to bring the plate together in their head, and they have to finish and plate 4 different dishes, one for each of the judges, and then one for the display plate at the back. They have to do all this within 45 minutes. We ran out of time for some chefs in the first 2 heats. There was elements of the plate, key elements of the plate, that weren't on the plate because they ran out of time. And it can certainly happen.
That's right, Rob. In chefy terms, we call it mise en place. It's a French cooking term which literally means everything in its place. If you can't see it in front of you, if you haven't organized yourself properly, you're going to miss something on your dish. It's hiding in a pot. It's under a towel. It's behind a piece of equipment. If you can't see it, you're not properly organized. And that's why when I worked in kitchens, I always encourage my cooks to have a very tight mise, which means that you know where everything is. So sometimes you hear the chefs and the cooks walking around, they're looking at their stations, and you'll see something and they'll say, hey, tight mise. That means it's really nice.
Interesting. So if I can get you to come, Chris, Chef Chris, if I can get you to come around the table over here.
Let's see.
Stevie is there with the camera.
Yes,
Chef Ben.
let's do it.
You can go all the way in behind.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so you
let's do
can
that.
look into the pots and let's talk to Bennett here and see how his dish is going so far.
Chef, may I?
Hi.
This all smells incredible. Can you kind of describe what's going on?
So we've got a curry going on here. I've got my emulsion reducing. Sorry, my emulsions are reducing right now. So white wine, all the clam juice. I'm going to reduce that right down and then let it cool slightly. Add my oysters and some of the lobster coral and then blend that, adding oil to make the emulsion. My potato curry is coming on here. Clams are cooked, lobster's cooked, making a glaze. I'm not going to swear, but...
Attaboy. Let's give him a round of applause.
That's awesome. We're getting there.
So what Chef Bennett is doing here is he's really building flavor. He's reducing things to concentrate flavor. I can see that he's got gigantic knobs of butter here. To me, that's the right amount of butter for whatever you're doing.
I don't even need it all. I just put it there for fun.
It's like a warm blanket. The chefs love to have lots of butter on hand at all times. Chef Kelly, may I? Can you describe to me what we're doing?
What I'm doing right now is I just threw the clams in the ovens just to get them popped open a little bit, and now I'm picking them out, putting them in a little buttermilk wash, and then I'm hopefully gonna fry them in a little bit.
Terrific. And the buttermilk kind of marinade here, what does that do to the clams?
I put a little buttermilk in, and I also put a little bit of the plain yogurt in, and that's just gonna help moisten the clams so that when I put it in the flour and panko dredge, then it's gonna stick really nice.
Yeah, that's right. And when you're breading something, you really have to consider the marinade or the wet component to your dredging so that that coating is perfectly secure to the product. Let's give Chef Kelly a big round of applause.
Absolutely.
She is our local. She is going to represent the island, so no pressure at all, Chef Kelly.
And we must tell you folks that when the judging, it's very difficult when you have 12 very accomplished chefs to whittle that down to 6 and then to come down again to the final 2. The judges talked about it on stage last night, how close the competition was. Between some chefs, there was less than half a point. There was less than 1 point between these top 2 chefs. That's how close it was. So they're very deserving to being here. But when you get a competition of this magnitude, it's not just about the flavor, which has a lot to do with it. It's all about technique. Like little things can really penalize you on a plate.
That's right, Rob. And you know, on Wednesday when we did our orientation with the college, the Culinary Institute of Canada, you know, we were all given a sheet on how to score basically your dishes. And everybody starts with 100 points. And basically what happens if you don't hit the mark on certain sections of your actual scoring sheet, they get deducted. And like Rob mentioned, we are really seeing the highest level performing chefs in Canada here today. And so the difference of winning and not winning could mean, hey, I've got a little shell in my dish, or I just overcooked my potato, for example. It could be just something as simple as that. So the stakes are high. Again, no pressure, no pressure.
And it could be something like over seasoning, under seasoning. That's why you're going to see the chefs tasting as they go, making sure they're hitting the correct flavor profiles that they're going for in the dishes.
That's right. You kind of have to test everything as you go, because the longer you're cooking something, the more intensely your flavors are coming out, and you risk over seasoning, for example. I can see Chef Kelly has got this terrific potato aromatic sauce going right now. This looks delightful, Chef.
This is my chowder base, and then what I did was grate the potatoes so all the starches come out and really help thicken that cream up and get that nice potato PEI flavor.
Yes, Chef. So do you use a roux, or do you just rely on the potato starch to thicken your chowder?
If I was going to make a chowder at home, I'd make a roux, but today, just for the broth, I want it to be a little bit looser than I would.
Fantastic. And the looser your chowder is, sometimes the flavor gets delivered to you and your taste buds even easier.
So Chris, if you want to head on over with Chef Corbin, and he's going to actually, you touched on the scoring, he's going to go over all the categories of it.
All right, so basically each chef starts with 100 points. And then what we do as judges, we will deduct based on categories that may be a miss or a loss or, you know, under season or whatever. But to give you a quick synopsis, they've got 35 points based on presentation. So that's portion size, that's the disposition of the food, that's the harmonious colors and the look of the plate. Because if it doesn't look good, it's not probably going to taste good, unless it's my mother-in-law's goulash. It also is scored on, is it appetizing, does it have that artistic flair, and just overall presentation, is it consistent with all 4 plates? So that's 35 points. 45 points is the hero, which is it's got to taste damn good. So not only does it have the proper textures and the techniques of the cooking, but does it season properly? Does it taste properly? Does it work with the rest of the dish? And that's complements of sweet, sour, umami, like all these different things that fall into play, particularly with shellfish. And then, of course, they get 15 points on actual creativity. So, for example, Kelly there is cooking a chowder, but she's doing it broth style, a little bit more unconventional. And then Bennett's obviously doing some fun stuff with his dishes as well. And we talk about originality, we talk about how unique it is, and last but not least, 5 points. Never trust a dirty chef. Is their station clean? Are they organized? One of the things I noticed both and foremost with both of them, they got their notebooks there and they've got things mapped out. So as Chris mentioned, talking about their mise en place, the recipe for success is you write everything down. And these two are, listen, I can tell them they're going neck and neck. This is gonna be a tough battle.
Thank you, Chef.
And folks, they are under 25 minutes. That's all that's left. 25 minutes is separating these two chefs from $10,000. But the runner-up doesn't go home empty-handed, as we have a $2,500 prize for second place.
Amazing.
So Chef Corbin talked about, you know, it has to look good. We all know. We love food. That's why we're here. We love food. When we go out to eat, what does everybody do? What's the first thing everybody does when your plate's set in front of you? Post it to Instagram or Facebook. Why do we do that? Because you want to make everybody jealous at home, all your friends. Ha, look what I'm eating, and you're having craft dinner and microwaved hot dogs at Rob's house. That's okay. But we take pictures of the food because it has to look beautiful. We eat with our eyes first, and then we taste it, right? So it's very important that that's one of the categories in this competition as well.
That's right. And I love what our last year's winner said yesterday. For those that are just joining us today, he hit the nail on the head. As you're taking that first picture, you haven't even eaten anything. He says, Instagram's got to eat first.
Yeah, that's right. Instagram eats first is right.
So, Rob, I want to, thank from the bottom of our hearts here the effort of the Culinary Institute of Canada and the team of chefs here.
100%.
So you can see, Chef Kevin here, he organizes his team of chefs to really lock down basically the stations, the flow of the competition, regulating the competition and making sure that it's really nicely marshaled. And you can see, these chefs here behind the actual stations, they're kind of like the de facto sous chefs. And what they do is they assist the competing chefs with their mise en place, making sure that they have everything they need. So yes, Kelly, you're right. Let's give them a big round of applause. So it looks like Chef Bennett here has got a rapid cooling system. He's got a third pan that we use in our fridges here, filled with ice, and he's rapidly cooling his curry there, I think. He's gonna let it sit basically in a bed of ice to cool it quickly. That's a really good trick. Yes, nicely done, Chef. Yes, he's basically made an ice sandwich here with his curry base.
And what's the reasoning he wants to do this?
I'm not entirely sure. I know in the yes, so it's gonna go into his croquette mix,
Okay.
and that's gonna be an amazing stuffing, very intensely flavored. I can see the coloration there, and the aroma and the aromatics as well.
So does anyone have any questions for Chef Chris? Don't ask me because I don't know anything. But if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Rob, for offering me up. So any hard questions you'd like me to answer?
Here's the bus. Get in front of it.
I'm not on the spot, for sure.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions about the competition? About cooking in general?
Yes, so I can see Chef Kelly here. She's rolling out her gnocchi here. I'm going to tuck under the monitor here. And there's one thing we have to make sure when we're doing our gnocchis is that we don't overwork the potato. Potato has tons of natural starch in it. And if you work that gluten and that starch over and over and over and over again, you get a really tough pillow. And nobody likes sleeping on a tough pillow. You want it nice and soft and fluffy.
I will say this isn't a traditional potato gnocchi, so what I did a ricotta gnocchi. So no potato in it, but you still got to be gentle with the dough and not overwork it.
Amazing, yeah, because you've got some flour in here that's a little bit starchy. Terrific, and it's cutting up just perfectly.
I love it. I love that. There's 5 ingredients that they have to, because it's a Shellfish Festival, there's 5 ingredients in shellfish. They have to use 3 in their dish, correct? They don't have to use all 5. 3 of the 5. So we have lobsters, clams, mussels, oysters, and crab. Rock crab in a bag, already cooked. Probably shouldn't use it. No, I'm just joking.
That's right, and to expand on the bounty of the island and the world-class shellfish that we get here at the Shellfish Festival here, the oysters are completely raw and alive, and you have to shuck them. So you put a knife into it, you pop it open, you scrape the mussel off the bottom there, and you want to try and keep the cure, or the liquor as they call it, that liquid, in the actual oyster itself. That delivers so much dimension of flavor. The clams are also live. And so Chef Bennett just asked Chef Kelly why she's not sweating.
The love of the island. I got the love of the island keeping me going.
It has to be. This week, we had the opportunity to see all 12 competitors compete. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of the competition chefs that participated. It takes a lot of courage to come up onto a stage with all of you feisty audience out here to compete. And I just want to maybe put one chef on the spot here and maybe just ask Chef Erica what the most favorite part of the festival was for you.
The lobster rolls.
How many lobster rolls did you have over the course of 3 days?
I've had probably 5 or 6 from different places. I'm on the hunt for the best lobster roll. No, the competition was amazing. It was a lot of fun. We got to meet some really amazing chefs from all around Canada. The judges have been great. The vibe, the food, the atmosphere, everything here it's a great festival. So I was really happy to be here.
That's Top Chef winner, season 9 winner, Erica.
So Chef Chris started talking and my mic turned on. So last year's winner walked away with $10,000. Chef Michael Hochschild. He is an amazing chef. He really is. Round of applause. The talent that this guy has is incredible. The name of his company is In-House Cooking. So it's a private catering business. I love the self-promotion. I love it. But you've been in this competition. You know how intense the competition is and the slight margin where it can place you. But from being on the championship stage, what's the pressure like for these two chefs right now?
Oh, it's everything. This whole weekend, the whole week, like obviously being here at the competition has been amazing for everyone. But it was all led to this moment for them, and all that hard work, whether it's training before the competition as well, has led to this moment. And one of them is going to be a big winner, and it's going to be a really good day for them.
Well, we hope you come back because you want to build a new deck. You married this young lady with your winnings from $10,000 last year, and we hope you come back next year and get your deck. Appreciate you, really do. Probably one of the most talented chefs we've seen in years. Come to PEI. You're a friend. You're an official Islander right now. You're welcome back anytime.
Yay. So friendly reminder for our competitors here, 15 minutes. 15 minutes, 5 minutes. And when I hear 15 minutes to service, it's go time. It's literally go time. So you should be kind of in your final strokes of cooking. You should be getting your eyes on your mise en place. You should be looking at your plateware to make sure that it's warm. You want to make sure that your station is nice and clean and you're ready to go so that those final moments, just before you go to service or you put it up here on the stainless steel table, that you're just doing that final sauce or that final garnish, that final foam or piece of parsley, if you're crazy, on top.
So one of the things that, you talk to them about having the lobster rolls, but Garland not only sponsors this event, but part of their sponsorship is they're brought to this festival from wherever they live. They're flown in, they're put up in hotels, but more importantly, they're taking out, the chefs were taken out to the mussel farms, to the oyster farms. They were on the boat. They were watching how mussels were harvested. They were bringing oyster trays from the ocean onto the boat and opening and shucking an oyster there. You cannot get any fresher than that. So for a lot of these chefs, yeah, they've worked with these products all their lives, all their professional lives, but they've never seen or experienced how they're harvested.
That's right, Rob. We call it terroir, if you will, which means just get close to your source. You want to see the water, feel the water, smell the water, taste the water that the shellfish is coming from. And Raspberry Point are such wonderful hosts. They brought us out on a gigantic boat. Big round of applause for Raspberry Point. They took us over the oyster beds and threw hundreds of oysters onto a gigantic stainless steel table, gave us a whole bunch of knives and said, get to work. Well, what did the chefs do? They ate hundreds of oysters.
So I have moved off to the side because they're getting into the plating. Things are getting a little more frantic back there.
Yes, I can see now Chef Kelly has a brunoise of perfectly cut mirepoix.
Yes, so what I'm going to do, I'm taking that chowder base that I made, and I'm going to puree that and strain it, and then throw the broth in there just so we have some nice perfect squares in it.
Perfect. And a mirepoix, for those who don't know, is celery, carrot, and onion. Equal amounts of celery, carrot, and onion sometimes, or sometimes more onion than celery and carrots.
The Holy Trinity.
The holy trinity of flavor.
Yeah,
And it's such a distinctive aroma when you walk into somebody's house and they're roasting off mirepoix. You can smell it from a mile away. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
I get that with moonshine.
Yes, the island has.
Potato.
Oh my goodness. Chef Bennett, we're in the final kind of like moments-ish. I can see you're getting some garnish ready. What else are you doing?
This is all my garnish for my cucumber salad here. So I've just salted some cucumbers lightly. I'm going to squeeze some lime juice over them, a little bit of lime zest, and then mix these herbs in. It's just a nice little freshness, which is going to go great with the curry, which is rich, lobster rich, and croquette rich. So we're just going to try and freshen it all up just a touch.
That's right. And what Chef Bennett is talking about is balance. You have very rich components to your dish. You want to be able to balance that with some fresh elements so that your mouth, your sensing of flavor doesn't get literally tired, that you're awake to actually taste flavors. And that's a really neat thing that chefs can do. It takes a ton of skill. And I can see that he's salted the cucumbers. That's a really neat way to draw some of the moisture out of the actual cucumber itself to make it a lot crispier and crunchier. So if you're at home, you can actually slice a whole bunch of cucumber, put fistfuls of salt on it into a colander, and you can draw out a lot of its moisture, rinse it off. You've got yourself a dynamite cucumber salad that's way, way crunchy.
So Chef Kelly is cutting the lobster, and we talked about, the little things that can deduct points from your score, the attention to detail, and one thing as simple as cleaning that waste track out of the lobster tail, opening it up, taking it out, just because that's not pleasant to the eyes or it's not something that the judges want to see on the plate.
That's right. And I can see my colleague here, Stephen Mark Donnelly, is adjusting our oven down to 350 degrees. Very easy touch control there. Nicely done, Stephen. Big round of applause for Stephen Mark Donnelly.
So what you're saying is if Chef Steve Donnelly can do it, anybody can do it. Is that that what I heard?
Absolutely. These so our easy touch displays, those big green rings behind behind the chefs here on the display for my oven. That's a gigantic high definition 10-inch display. And that green, ring there basically tells me, hey, I'm good to go inside the oven. I'm at that temperature, and just throw me in. It's very easy to manage. The user interface is simple to navigate, and I think that's one of the great things about our ComboTherm Max Pro ovens.
We are 10 minutes away from $10,000, ladies and gentlemen. 10 minutes remaining, chefs. It's like we just started, and it's over.
It just goes away. The time just disappears. So I can see Chef Kelly has some frying oil going.
You're going to throw my clams?
Yeah, and so I think she's going to put her clams in there, make them kind of crunchy and delicious.
Sorry, bud.
This pan is done, Chef? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yes, sorry. So Chef Kelly?
Browning some tarragon butter for my gnocchi to go into. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's live action up here. When you introduce fresh herbs to really, really hot oil or fat, sometimes they want to explode on you. So short sleeves maybe wasn't the right decision today.
This is like, she said it was like the splash zone at SeaWorld.
That's right. Now, I feel like the bleachers are really close today, so watch out, everybody.
Very close.
Yeah.
So Friday, Chef Irwin got splashed with green curry on his whites. These folks were definitely in the splash zone on that one.
What's the secret recipe for getting curry out of your coat, Chef?
This lovely lady from formerly from Scotland, but now in Ontario, she said 1 part vinegar, 3 parts water, a little dash of Dawn dish soap. Spray that on the affected areas, let it sit for about an hour, and then throw it in the washer. And it turned out right.
But she's never had a microwaved hot dog. So do you trust her?
Oh, jeez.
Like, do you really trust her?
8 minutes, chefs. And what I'll say to the crowd, if you're just joining us, as the time kind of winds down, we need you guys to be pumped and energized to really encourage our chefs here. Is there anybody from the UK to support Chef Bennett? Okay, we got one.
I love it. They're chirping back and forth. Kelly's calling them desperate. Ben's just begging for some love from anywhere. This is awesome. Awesome.
We're just under 7 minutes now, just under 7 minutes.
So the plating is starting to happen on Chef Bennett's side. He's like an episode of Sweating to the Oldies up here. Like, he is working it right now, as is Kelly.
Chef Bennett, you'll be happy to know that I see a bead of sweat on Kelly's forehead.
One bead. And Chef Bennett's sweating like Mike Tyson at a spelling bee.
Oh, no. So Chef Bennett has begun to compose his plate. He has his fresh green elements.
Time check, 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
Plating and how things look, as part of the presentation is so important. Where does your protein go? How do you want to highlight certain ingredients so that the guest is drawn to eat that first? Because sometimes there's an order to how you eat things on a plate. How do you get inside of your guests' heads to, do that by plating stuff and where it goes in its position?
So one of the things that I'm always intrigued with, Chef Chris, and maybe you can help me on this one of the things that is very important for these chefs, they're creating so many wonderful, intense flavors, but they also want to maintain the flavor of the shellfish that they're using and have it come through.
Yeah, and it's really hard to do when you're trying to highlight so many different ingredients. And I think the requirement is 3 out of the 5 shellfish have to be on the plate. If you're so bold, you might put 5 ingredients on your plate to highlight. And how do you honor each of those ingredients so that they stand out, so that they are highlighted? And some of the ways that chefs do this is by intensifying the flavors. So lots of times you'll see chefs take the juice or the liquor from the actual, no, Rob, not that liquor, the liquor from the shellfish.
I get all excited.
To, put that under heat and then to reduce it to really intensify flavor. Under 5 minutes now, chefs.
4 minutes and 30 seconds, Chef. 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Timing is really, really important here. In these final minutes, these chefs are considering what their last touches are on their plates. Sometimes they'll have, their mise en place on their table. They'll have things just on their right hand or the left hand to finish up their plates, and they just want the sauce to be the very last thing to hit the plate there too.
4 minutes. 4 minutes, chefs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are down to the short strokes now, so we will be updating the time so that the chefs are aware where they're sitting at.
This is very tense. I have a lot of built-up anxiety here.
So I did want to point out that after the plating is done, this is for $10,000. And right now there's only 3 minutes. 3 minutes left, chefs. So this is for $10,000. The judges are going to be trying both dishes. What we would ask you is that because of the seriousness of their job, if you could please not hover over, try and get a picture. I know you want to, but maybe you can take a picture of the screen to see the plates. But if we could just leave this area, make our way to the other end of the tent. We have some entertainment on the main stage brought to you by the local. And then we're going to be coming back here as the chefs that were in the competition are going to play sous chefs for the Junior Chef Challenge that's happening. So we'll get you to leave the area and then get you to come back. 2 minutes, 20 seconds, chefs. 2 minutes, 20 seconds.
Let's hear it for the chefs, guys. Let's get them going. Let's make some noise. This is the last stretch here.
Both chefs are plating now. Kelly has started her plate as well.
2 minutes.
Chef Ben has been plating for quite a while. I noticed he made croquettes. He only made 4, no extra. Thanks, chef.
Bribes are now part of the competition.
All right, let's hear it for Chef Kelly, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, big round. Let's hear it for Chef Ben. Let's hear it for Chef Chris. You're the best.
Let's hear it for Rob. He's been emceeing all 3 days.
That's what you call time filler, folks. Get you fellas to roar and shout and you forget where you're at. We are at 1 minute. 1 minute left, chef.
1 minute.
Now is when time management is crucial. 1 minute, under 1 minute to go. We're at 50 seconds.
Where's the cowbell? Where's the cowbell on this side? Let's go. Cowbell on this side. Let's go. Come on. Chef Bennett's cleaning his station now.
We are down to our final 30 seconds.
At 10 seconds, we need everybody to count down with us. At 10 seconds, you'll count down with us.
And once we hit that 10-second mark, we count down. Chefs have to put the hands up, but then they can start to clean the plates. We'd like to thank you all for joining us, but this is over in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Hands up, chefs. That is incredible.
Congratulations,
Give it up. Chef Ben, Chef Kelly, battling it out for $10,000. So as with this competition, they can clean their plates. They're talking with Kevin as to how they're going to be presented to the judges because of the we do eat with our eyes. So take your 3 best looking plates, give them to the judges, and your other one, we will send it back to the display room for social media. All right, we're going to have Chef Bennett describe his plate first.
Okay, awesome. Okay, guys. Well, so you have a lobster tail, just been simply blanched in fish stock, so we get that nice, keep the kind of flavors going through it. I then took the claw meat and chopped it with the clam meat and mixed that through the croquette. In the croquette, you have a potato curry using PI potatoes, There is a whole ton of aromats in there. I made a coconut base using cilantro stalks, coconut, tomatoes, and reduced that right down till it caramelized on the pan, so you get that really nice, rich curry flavor. And then folded the just very simply cooked clams, so you keep the freshness. You have the lobster tail, which has been glazed in ginger, butter, and just a touch of honey, so it keeps that really nice sweetness. And will counteract with the saltiness of the oyster emulsion, which is in the middle there. And then you have a cucumber salad for some freshness with some green onions, chives, cilantro, cucumber, and just some fresh lime. Simple, guys.
Thank you, Chef Ben. We'll turn it over to Chef Kelly now to describe her dish.
Okay, so there's a lot of time when you're cooking in a kitchen, when you're prepping all day, you're standing with the same people you stand with every day, and some weird questions come up. And one of the biggest questions I find working in kitchens is, what's your death row meal? If you are leaving today, what do you want to eat? And mine is, of course, PEI seafood chowder. I could eat chowder 3 times a day, every day for the rest of my life. I wouldn't feel very good, but I would be very happy. So I said, today I gotta cook what I love, so I gotta give you chowder, but I can't give you chowder. So what I'm gonna do, I made chowder with the oyster and the clam liquid from the cooking mussel liquid and the oysters and the clams, and I reduced that down, pureed it, and then I put fresh mirepoix in it, like I said while I was cooking. And then I took those mussels and oysters and the lobster I cooked, and I tossed that in with some beautiful herb ricotta gnocchi. And in that, I tossed that in a brown butter tarragon sauce. And then on top of the gnocchi, you'll see fried clams. So fried clams are another thing that tug at my heart. My father's from Shediac, New Brunswick, and Shediac, New Brunswick is known for lobster, but also, woo, fried clams. So I had to do some fried clams today. And on top of that fried clams, you're gonna taste a lemon herb oil. And I really hope you enjoy. Came from the heart to you guys.
Thank you very much, Chef Kelly. All right, well, that's our time for the competition. Please direct your attention to the front of the tent, ladies and gentlemen, as we have Abby's going to be performing for you.
And I just wanted to add too, Rob, sorry to interrupt, the award presentation where we give out the $10,000 to the competing chefs is at 3:20 today on the stage back there. And 3:25 is the junior chef
junior chef back here.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So 3:25 back here for the junior chef and 3:20 for the awards presentation of the $10,000 and $2,500 prize, respectively. To Chef Chris for co-hosting, thank you very much. To our judges, our competitors, and to you, thanks for judging us for the Garland Canada International Chef Challenge.
We're in. For home. For favorite spots. For taking the scenic route. For taking good care. We're in. For big surprises. For new possibilities. For good times. Every year, 100% of profits stay here in Atlantic Canada. We're in for support.